Hey everyone, this is part two of the trailer ramp fabrication videos. In part one, we went over how to fabricate these 5 foot long trailer ramps using angle iron. And in this video, I wanted to go over the cost analysis of building those trailer ramps and then how I went about selling them to make a little bit of money. Now, this was the trailer ramps we fabricated with the 115, 120 volt welder MIG machine that you might be able to have in your own small home shop. Nothing fancy, nothing big like a 220, 240 volt machine. We can simply make these with a small machine. I build them here in my garage. Um, and I wanted to just go over the process. Obviously, I went over the fabrication process in the first video, and in this video, I want to show you simply, real quickly, how I priced them out, uh, analyzed how much it would cost, and then priced them out, and then where I sold them. So to begin with, you want to know how much it's going to cost you to make so that you do know how much you want to charge for it. So when I started building these, I simply went down to the steel supplier that's not too far away from me, and I figured out how much material it would need to make two of these, because it's ideal that you make a pair of these trailer ramps, and that the material that was necessary to build two of them was about 40 feet of angle iron of this 2 inch by 2 inch by 3/16 thick angle iron is what I use to build these. And each ramp is roughly about 20 feet of material after you account for the kerf of making all these cuts and having a little bit of extra left over that's just not going to fit into anywhere on this. But each ramp only took about 20 feet of material, and they call that a stick. If you go down to the supplier, your steel supplier, you're going to want to ask them, in order to build two of these, you want two sticks of 2 inch by 2 inch by 3/16 inch angle steel, and they'll know what you're talking about. But you want to know the price per stick, or at least the price per foot at that point too. I have my little notes over here. I'm going to grab them real quick just so I remember exactly what it cost for this particular material. Okay, so for the material for this, it was 40 feet to make two ramps, and the price per foot of this material, the 2 inch by 2 inch by 3/16, it came around to $2.24 a foot. Now, when I pick them up from the steel supplier, I don't just pick up the 20-foot stick completely and put it on a trailer, because I don't have a trailer. I have a not even a mid-sized truck. I have a Ranger, a Ford Ranger, that I get these into the bed of my truck. So I have them cut it down to a manageable size that I can put into my truck bed. And honestly, I also get them to cut it down to some pre-cut, pre-measured cuts that I won't have to make later. As we discussed in the fabrication video, they are 5 foot long rails, and then I cut the runners that go in between the rails myself here at the house. You saw that with the chop saw. But the rails, I just have them cut it down to 5 foot sections of those sticks, those 20-foot sticks. Now, you're not going to get a perfect amount of four 5 foot long pieces from a 20-foot stick of this material, because you do have to account for the kerf. When they cut it there at the supply store, you're gonna be losing a little bit of material when they cut it with the chop saw there, and that's what they did. They cut it with the chop saw where I pick it up, and so you're not gonna get exactly four 5 foot long pieces. You're gonna get three. Ideally, you get three exactly 5 foot long pieces, and then you're going to have what they call the drop. So it's going to be a little less than 5 feet when they're done cutting it. Now, the place that I get it, they charge per cut. and they charge $3 per cut. So I actually account for that when I'm when I'm analyzing the cost of this fabrication. So they will, I get them to cut it 3 times. So I get uh, 3 5-foot long sections and the drop after that, which I use a lot of that drop and the additional 5-foot section to make my runners out of. So when all's said and done, I'm going to get 2 of these 20-foot long sections cut 3 times each. So when I'm done, I will have 6 5-foot long pieces and 2 pieces that are a little less than 5 feet. So you're talking about maybe 4'10", 4'11", depending on the material and how they cut it and whatnot. But not much shorter than 5 foot, but enough that you're not going to be able to line 2 of these up together and make a trailer ramp rail, kind of like the ones we made in the previous video. So keeping that all into account, they do charge, like I said, every time they cut the material for you. If you were to just pick up the 20-foot long stick and take that and load it up, you just pay for the amount of the material. But since I'm having them cut it so I can fit it in my truck, it is $3 per cut. So that's 6 cuts, and do the math, 6 times 3, $18. The material itself was $2.24 a foot. Now, if we were to do the math, I'll do it all for you at this point. Roughly for 2 sticks, 40 feet, it's about $90. I think it's a little less than, so it's around $90 for 20 feet of 2x2 by 3/16. And then for the 6 cuts, that's $18. So you're running around $110 just for the material for that build for 2 ramps. All right, and the one we built in part 1 of this series, about $110 just for that material to make 2 of those. Now, after you've analyzed the cost of your materials in that, at least the steel, then you have to analyze how long is it gonna take you to build it. If you get really good at it and you get more efficient at it, it'll take less time. The more tools you have at your disposal that can kind of speed things up as well, it'll take less time. But for me, it took roughly, when I was starting out, it took roughly about 8 hours to, is what I accounted for when I was building these. Now I'm accounting for drive time to the steel supplier, drive time back. I'm accounting for cutting all those runners with the chop saw here, grinding out those runners, measuring it out, laying it out, and then welding it out. All of that is going into this 8 hours that I came up with. Now, the first time you do it, you'll want to keep track of that time. Time yourself, how long it takes you to do each thing. If you want to get an accurate assessment of how much it is costing you to build these things, that's a really good idea. Not only the cost of the materials, but time yourself and see how long it takes you. And then give yourself an hourly rate, an hourly wage to build these things. I went with $20. It's not a difficult build. It's not something super critical, so I was probably a little bit more humble in my rate there as far as the labor. I'm only billing $20 an hour at that time when I was building these first few. You may want to make it more. You may want to make it less. That's up to you. That's kind of, you have to figure out how much your time is worth when you're building these, and also kind of the going rate of the local area that you're in. You might want to do a little research on that. For me, it was a nice round number at the time. It's $20 an hour. Was the rate that I put on the cost for these, and 8 hours comes out to 160. So let's go ahead and write some of this down before, I'm probably getting a little too far ahead of you, or ahead of myself before I start writing some of this information down. So we have 2 trailer ramps, right? 2 trailer ramps. and they are 5 feet. That's kind of that's the build. That's the fabrication. That's the product that we're analyzing here. So to get the material, I'm getting, for 2 ramps, I'm doing 40 feet of 2 by 2 by 3/16 inch angle steel there. And where I was getting it, it was at that time it was $2.24 a foot. So we can say that this stuff is $2.24 a foot. Now, doing the math, I could go down and put in the formula and all that, but just know that about 40 feet of this stuff runs roughly $90. I think it's somewhere around 88, but I'm not going to split hairs right now. So $90 for our material plus the amount for 6 cuts at $8. So I'm sorry, 6 cuts at $3 a piece. So 6 times 3 is 18. $18 for cuts. Material. And that gives us about, what did we say, 110? Close to, it's 108. We'll write 108 just to make the math all work out. But I'm going to round up to a round number. So $108 for total material cost. And I'm going to need to get some new dry erase markers before I go too much further. So for material, I'm putting it up to 110. I like round numbers. So that's what I'm coming up with for material. Now, then we talked about the labor cost. We're billing labor at $20 an hour for about 8 hours or however long it's going to take you. You can plug in your own numbers here whenever you kind of figure out how long it takes you and how much you want to get paid to build these things. So we have $8 at $20 an hour. Math is pretty simple for that. So we say, put material here. I run out of room. And then labor is 8 hours at $20. I know, right? I didn't plan this out very well, but you know what? We're just going for it. 8 hours at $20 an hour. And that'll give us our labor cost, which is about $160. So that is simply the cost of time and materials. The labor, the time it takes you to make them, the material as far as the raw material, the steel, but that doesn't take into account overhead, consumables, grinding discs, tools, electricity, things like that. And that's all. You can get pretty in depth on that, and you can go pretty deep depending on how specific you want to be for that. But in my case, I just knock it up 10%. So it's about, I add about 10% to my time and material cost, and then I come up with a new price after that. So time and material, or so labor and material, that gets you up to about $270. So this plus this kind of comes out to $270, and at least I know what I'm going to invest in soon, and that's dry erase markers. So time and material is $270. You can go grab another one here in a little bit, but we're kind of in the zone right now. So $270 for the labor and material, and then for a markup for overhead, I do 10%. 10% of 270, about 27. I'm not even going to keep going with this thing because it ain't even working. 270, so that comes out to roughly 300 when all is said and done. Time, material, overhead. These things cost you, if you're going to build these, about $300. And you know what? Through the power of editing, I am going to go sneak away, and I'm going to grab a better dry erase marker, because that one is going in the trash can. Kobe didn't make it. Okay, I'll be right back. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. I hopefully have come prepared now. If you can't see it in my chest pocket, I got 3 different colors of dry erase markers. They're not as thick as that one, but I'm pretty positive they have a lot more ink, and we shouldn't be interrupted again. So anyways, after all that, we determined that the cost, time, material, and 10% additional for overhead, roughly 300. That's what we're kind of coming to for our cost for this. So I know I've gone online and seen people trying to sell these for that price, a pair of these for that price, for 300, and I don't know how they're doing it. Maybe they're cutting their costs somewhere else. Maybe they're getting more efficient at building these. Maybe they're getting cheaper material. I don't know. But for me, these things cost me $300 to build. So with that in mind, we also have to talk profit. You can just make $300 and that pays for your labor. You're at least getting paid $20 an hour, and it takes care of the cost. Covers your cost. You can go get some more, and your labor is essentially your profit, but that's not really what labor is if you were ever going to pay somebody else to build these. So the idea is you want to make a profit. Now, how much do you charge for a profit? That depends. That depends on a lot of different things, but mostly just on what you would like to get paid for. What kind of profit would you like to make? What kind of value do you think you're providing? In this case, like I said in the first video, I like to go the extra mile. I make sure I have attention to detail. I'm trying to provide value to the customer. And even showing them a video similar to the one, kind of like the part 1 of this, showing them how I built it, having good pictures. Marketing comes into play here too a little bit. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But I'll charge, an extra $50 to $100 for these. It takes a decent amount of time to make, and I want to make good profit. But if you do 100, that's roughly 33% profit, because it costs you 300 and you're making an extra 100, 33% profit. That's not bad. And you can kind of wait to find customers that are willing to pay that, depending on who you're looking for. Trailer ramps, a lot of times, the value comes from having it now. If you build some of these and have them waiting in the wings and ready, have a little bit of stock of a couple of pair of these, and you can immediately just say, hey, yeah, no, they're ready to go. And providing them right then and there, that's high value. So all that into account, kind of think about what you want to charge for profit. I wouldn't charge less than $350 at this point. This is a side hustle for me. It's not my main job, and I don't need the money right away. So I can wait until I find a customer that's willing to pay the price I'm putting on it. Some people are going to haggle with you or bargain with you on Facebook Marketplace, which is where I was selling these. So there might be a bit of competition in that market too, but that's where I had the most success selling these still. And I was holding out for the customers I wanted that were willing to pay that price. I wouldn't sell these for less than $350 here. You may not want to sell them for less than $400, but take that into consideration. So your cost is $300, and then so if you add 15% profit, which isn't a bad margin, that's a pretty good margin for profit. 33%, as we were saying, is even better. But you also got to figure out how long you're willing to wait for someone who's willing to pay that amount too. How much are you going to market it? I sell them on Facebook Marketplace. They kind of sell themselves. I put them up there. I'll probably sell them within a week, maybe 2. It just depends. If you want to keep on making them and churning them out, you can sell more and have a place to keep them. I don't have a whole lot of room in this garage to keep a stock of them, but I like to keep at least 1 or 2 pair just leaning up against a wall, and it doesn't take up a ton of room. And then whenever I have them on Facebook Marketplace, somebody says, hey, I'm interested, cool. You can sell a set, and then you can build another one to replace that set, and it's just sitting there in your garage somewhere ready to sell whenever you get an interested customer. So when I'm selling it, I'll go down to my price. Even this red one isn't that great, but price is adding 15 to 30% profit. So my price will come out to around 350 to 400 for a pair. Now, I will say that I sell them on Facebook Marketplace. It's easy. I can meet up with whoever the customer is at a neutral location, and we can sell these. But I'll put up a post on my Facebook Marketplace, and I'll set the range within, I don't know, maybe around 100-mile radius in my area, and you'll probably find some customers that'll be interested in picking them up within that range, depending on where you live. All depends on where you live. I live in Austin, Texas, so it's a fairly good market here. There's a decent amount of work, industrial work going on. There's a lot of entrepreneurs running around who, a lot of people that buy these might be people that are loading up vehicles or skid steers or lawnmower equipment, stuff like that. So it's a pretty good market around here. You got to take that into account too. So this has been a pretty reasonable price for a set. Sometimes if I really don't want to build another set anytime soon, or I'm getting really busy otherwise, I might even charge more than that, just because it's one of those convenience factors for you. You're doing a good job, know your worth, know how much your time is worth, and if you think, oh man, if I got to drive this out to somebody, or I got to know I'm going to make another one and I'm not in a hurry to make a sale, charge more. Charge $400-$500, but over deliver in the things that just isn't the trailer ramp set itself. Have good manners. Simply having good manners and having good communication skills, you'd be surprised. Being able to find customers that honor that and respect that, and like I said, they're ready to go right then and there. They're like, hey, I need trailer ramps. I need them today. What can you do for me? All right? Be on time to whenever you say you're going to be, and be ready with a set of these. Don't say you have one in stock and you don't. And you're like, oh, okay, it's going to be about a week. I've lost sales doing that because I'm like, technically I don't have any in stock, so I have to build it. And by that time, they need it today. They need it now. They don't need it in a week. Be ready for stuff like that too. And like I said, they don't take up a whole lot of room. That was a mistake I made early on, where I was like, yeah, I'm a little bit on back order. It's gonna take me a little while. So try not to get behind in that regard. If you don't have any in stock on Facebook Marketplace, mark it out of stock, okay? Until you're ready to start making them and selling them again. So that's how much they usually cost for me to make. That's the price I typically charge, depending on the situation. It can go higher, it can go lower, just depending on how you feel about making them and what you think you're worth. And then when I sell them on Facebook Marketplace. You may want to put a disclaimer on there. Some people may try to go over capacity on when they're trying to load these ramps up, and you don't want to get in trouble. So you may want to put at least a little bit of disclaimer on your Facebook Marketplace post. I am not able to give legal advice. I don't know if that's going to do you any good, but probably couldn't hurt to at least say, hey, don't load skid steers up, or don't load a full-size excavator up on my trailer ramps that are 5 feet long and 3/16-inch thick angle steel. Probably not going to happen, meaning they're not going to be able to load that thing up, but also probably not going to happen in that they wouldn't think they could. But there are all kinds out there, so you just have to be careful about that. Um, Anything else as far as how to go about selling these after you've analyzed the cost and putting your price on them? Facebook Marketplace has been good for me. If you have a shop and a storefront, you can do it that way too. But if you have a shop and a storefront, you're probably way ahead of me anyways. I'm building these in my garage. I'm selling them on Facebook Marketplace. And sometimes they like to, like I said, bargain and haggle, but know what you want to make for them at a minimum. 300 is not bad. You pay for your time and you pay for your material, but let's make some profit. We want to make a little bit more than that. Okay. Anyways, other than that, I think that was pretty long-winded, way longer-winded than I expected it to be. So, but that was part 2. If you want to see the part 1 video where I fabricate these and show you the general quick way I do that, go back and check part 1 of the trailer ramp fabrication series for these 2 videos. Thank you, and good luck. Hope you make some sales.